Okay, my bad. It cut off mid of me talking. But what I was saying was whether Carmelo is innocent or guilty, found innocent or guilty in a court, I don't just believe what the verdict said because I know firsthand, fighting for my own loved one, I seen firsthand how they can get a false guilty verdict. So, not just in Carmelo's case, anybody's case, my belief is that we should hear people out. When someone comes back saying that they are innocent, I think we should open up the cases, right? And it is because of what happened to my family. Had my family not been through the jail, and I say jail is hell, like an insert word for hell, because jail is hell. If my family had not been through jail, I would feel just like you do. I would uphold every single verdict, every single conviction. I wouldn't ask any questions. I would just say, oh, yep, the jury found you guilty. You must be guilty. I would say those same things. I have said those same things. But it's a lot different once you sit in the defendant seat or your loved one sits in that defendant seat. That's when things really change, and that's when things really get real. That's when that case gets real. That's when you want the case to be filled with your rights. You want your rights to remain intact. You want your loved one's rights to be remained intact per the Constitution, allegedly. You want all of those constitutional rights to be maintained from beginning, from arrest, all the way up to conviction. And if in any manner, any one of your rights are violated, because to get a true and fair conviction, you never, ever, ever, under any circumstances, need to violate someone's rights to get that rightful conviction. You don't. You would never need to skip due process, because that's one of the intricate things that they did in that case. They skipped due process, and they skipped due process in my husband's case. So that sent off alarm bells. Okay, you're telling me he's guilty. He's surely guilty. There's no need to look over here because he's guilty. Why skip due process? That is the question that nobody can answer. And half of the reason why I said, you know what, I'm going to cover this content on its own channel is because I had people that were supporting my husband's story of being wrongfully incarcerated. And they were supporting that. But then when I told how you cannot jump to conclusions in this case, because that's exactly how my husband got wrongfully incarcerated, people immediately turned on me and said, well, it doesn't matter if you skip his due process. He's guilty. You can't do that. If you want to maintain a completely fair and just justice system, you cannot ever skip due process. Whether you, number one, if you have that feeling he's guilty, you cannot try the case. Because before the trial, you already have that feeling of guilt. Only a person that can truly see him as innocent to begin with, because a person that claims their innocence is innocent till proven guilty. So if you're unable to, even with the slate cleaned, only thing being on the table is an allegation. Allegation's the only thing on the table. No other pieces are there for you. You have to automatically be able to see him as innocent. And then as they give you more puzzle pieces and you're putting the pieces of the puzzle together, okay, that piece fits there. Okay, that piece fits there. They're giving you all the pieces too, right? They're not withholding no pieces. You cannot withhold not one piece. You need to give every single piece to the puzzle. If it's 100-piece puzzle, run me all 100 pieces. Let me put them together, and then okay, he's guilty. But if you're taking pieces out, you're giving me the 100-piece puzzle, but you've held on to 20 pieces and you've hid them. And I've gotten the rest done, and I'm like, okay, I need this piece right here. Look, the box says this piece goes here. I need that. Where's that piece? Oh, you don't have it? Why don't you have it? You took it out. Why would you take it out? Give it to me. I need to find him guilty. Because you said he's guilty. I need to find him guilty. Run me that piece. I need that missing puzzle piece. And then I can complete the puzzle myself. I won't need you to tell me the verdict. I will clearly see guilty. So it rings alarm bells when you withhold information. That is the issue. That is the problem. That is why people are not just taking it. I am not saying he's innocent, and I am not saying he's guilty. I am right smack dab in the middle, and I don't know. Just like you don't truly know. And people feel like because you have been through a trial and you are found guilty, there's no way you're innocent. That's not true. Let me tell you a little bit about my husband's story, right? And if you would listen, most likely by now anybody turned off, it's actually justice. That means you have an issue with the justice system if you're turned off with what I'm saying, right? It is not his case that turns you off. Well, it possibly is his case that turns you off because you're upset about someone being unalive, which I am too. I when I first covered this, both sides are very tremendously sad to me. Extremely sad. But then people got angry because I was like, how you going both sides? Ain't no both sides. It's only one side that is going through, no, both sides of this case is going through it. And it is a heartbreaking situation on both sides. I said what I said. Both sides. And justice is coming to justice for both sides. Right? So I said people don't truly understand the justice system. That's why they're so angry and so into their feelings. And maybe I can use this as a teaching point to teach people the system. That is my initial goal. Right? That is the biggest goal, because we all need to know it, not how they told us it works. You need to know how it works. It works a lot different, which y'all are finding out now. I've been to this conclusion, but y'all are just now finding out that it doesn't work the way you have been told it works. It almost works completely opposite. So now that you know that, and I know it's a shock. It was shocking when I found out firsthand with my own husband. It was shocking when I found out that they already had him marked as guilty before going to trial. That's how his public pretender was able to tell him, you're not going to win in trial. Even after saying they have no evidence on you. And in my husband's case, nobody was unalived. Nobody was hurt. Nobody was powed. He was charged with a weapon that did not even exist. They don't even have the weapon that they charged him with for weapon enhancement, and they do not have evidence of a weapon. And they were able to get away with that. And it's because of the blindness going on. I'm legally blind, but y'all are truly the legally blind. Y'all are truly the ones legally blind. And that is how they were able to do that. So my husband is accused of far less than Karmelo. But his sentence is way worse than Karmelo's. And every day I was told that is just. But then I seen that people were outraged that Karmelo got 35 years. And then I'm like, oh, wow, they don't really understand this. Let me explain from somebody that really does get it. They were trying to give Karmelo the 99 years. They wanted to give him the max. The max. That is always the intention in court, allegedly, to give you the max, whatever the highest we can give you. That's what we want to give you. Because Karmelo's case broke in the media, it's the only thing that made the difference. Because had Karmelo's case not broke in the media, Karmelo would be nothing but my husband Marcello. A nameless, faceless DC number. Nobody wants to hear the aspects. Nobody cares if due process was skipped. Nobody cares if rights were violated. Courts found you guilty no matter how they played the game, allegedly. And you're sent away and nobody is the wiser. That's how it goes every day. That's how it goes every single day. That's how it went in April of 2002 when they allegedly threw my husband away with no evidence. All YT jury, alternative juror, YT as well. I couldn't believe it when it happened to us. And I kept trying to tell people, no, that's not, you're not supposed, no, that's not right. And everybody told me every single day, that's right. There was one middle-aged BLK man. I even did research into that. Can you get that in itself? The jury makeup creates a lot of wrongful convictions. And I have wrongful convictions because y'all don't believe a conviction is wrongful until the day the mic is in the person's face and they're getting out after 20 to 30 to 40 years later. And they're, oh, how does it feel to be free after you've been claiming your innocence from day one? That's the only time you acknowledge a person is innocent. But from that day one, that person was innocent all the way up until, Kevin Strickland, 43 years. It took 43 years before they released him. An innocent man. Even the victim came back and said, I don't think it's him. And the courts upheld it. And y'all, because y'all backed the courts no matter what, allegedly, y'all upheld 43 years, an innocent man being put in prison. Y'all upheld it. Y'all uphold it every single day. Right? The courts allegedly could not do what they do without you. You do it. You keep this intact. So he got 40 years. No one hurt, no one unalived. No weapon found. People lying. All YT jury except for one alternative BLK juror, which is what happened in Kevin Strickland's case. That's why I initially brought it up, because he was tried before an all YT jury except for one BLK person, and the jury was a HUNG jury, right? And the prosecutor said, I'll never let that happen again, and retried his case with an all completely YT jury. And then they were able to get a conviction against an innocent man. 43 years later, he was found to be innocent. And the victim came back and said, I was coerced to identify him. I never identified him off rip. They kept saying, are you sure it's not Kevin? You sure it's not Kevin? You sure it's not Kevin? Until I was sure it was Kevin. And it was one of her wishes before she left this earth, because she passed away. She wrote that, I don't think he did it. Please relook at his case. And they said no. Even when the courts changed and the new people were reelected, and it was like, no, we don't think this case upholds justice. The man over, the governor said, innocence is no reason to be released from prison. 43 years were taken from his life. I was about to say 24 years that was extracted from my husband's life. 43 years was extracted from Kevin Strickland's life. And the whole time from beginning to end, he was innocent. And they got that conviction a certain way. You play the game a certain way, allegedly, you get the results you want. So when I'm looking at the way they played that game, and I'm looking at the way they played my husband's game, and I'm looking at the things coming out in this case, I'm like, I don't know. I got to know a little bit more. That's why it's raising these alarm bells. That's why. And I know, I get it. You still don't understand. He clearly has to be guilty. There's no way they can't. I don't know. Yeah, it's difficult. It really is. But my husband left that situation with 40 years. We're in Florida, so you have to do 85%. Florida is one of the states that have the highest amount of time served. Most other states have 65%. Florida has 85% and no parole whatsoever. Most other states, though they do not grant parole, actually do have parole. So some of those lucky number ones can get parole. But it's at least there. We have no possibility of parole, and you have to do 85% of a 40-year sentence. So we're already at still more than what Karmelo was sentenced. Karmelo was sentenced to 35 years. With my husband, with 85%, and I don't know if Texas, I was trying to look into that. Are they 65 or 85%? Number one, they got parole. So eligible for parole after 17 years. 17. All right. My husband's already done 24. So he's already way above. That means my husband would have been eligible for parole about, 7 years ago if he were Karmelo? And he possibly would have been granted parole. So with my husband's 40 years for nobody unalived or hurt or anything, no evidence, no fingerprints, no DNA, no nothing. That case, 40 years, 85% leaves you at 36 years. You have to do day for day. My husband has to do 36 years day for day. Karmelo has to do 17 years day for day, and then we'll see. There's no then we'll see in my husband's case. 36 years. We're at 24 years, which leaves 11 more years to go. Right? And nobody, a couple of people, Thank you. I've had somebody come through on the channel. That's amazing, because I haven't had no movement in my husband's case in the last 24 years. No, nothing. But the moment that people felt like Karmelo's trial did not go all the way right, people would have been okay with you convicting him had you went through had you not violated his rights, had you not skipped due process. People would have actually supported that conviction. They would have. Because nobody is just, nobody just, they play it as though, oh, your community just supports criminals. No, we support transparency and truth. There's no need to be fake if you're telling the truth. There's no need to be manipulative if you're telling the truth. There's never a need for that. Truth don't need no manipulation. You don't need to tell me what I seen. Just show me, and then I'll say, oh, I clearly see. Right? That is the issue there. That is why people aren't getting behind it like that. That's why it's not an open and shut case like it usually is. It's usually open and shut. And then people are like, the all-whitey jury, husband sat before that. Then they're like, oh, how did the trial was so fast. My husband's trial was 1 day. And deliberation was less than an hour. They deliberated less than an hour over my husband's life and took his life in less than an hour with no evidence. So he even got a longer trial. He got a trial that's highly publicized. He got people fighting for him. He did not get the 99 years, which is what they would have done if he had been behind the scenes. This case happened behind the scenes like my husband's did. They would have given him that 99 years. I'm telling you from knowing the truth, allegedly. And he has that option, allegedly, for parole, possibly one day. So he's so far making out way better than my husband ever did. Y'all got him this appeal. Y'all, the public, social media, got Karmelo that appeal. Y'all did it. And y'all don't realize y'all did that. Y'all think justice is just being served. They would not ever, it don't matter even if it is per justice, even if his rights were violated and he did deserve a new trial, baby, they would never give it to him if y'all weren't hovering over their backs. Allegedly. Never would get it. My husband was due. Number one, he was due to be found innocent, not guilty. 2, he was due a new trial, and they denied it off rip. So far, Karmelo is winning. He's winning, y'all. Y'all just don't see it. And the reason you don't see it is because you don't know how this goes. Once you learn how this goes, anybody that's been through the system can tell you all the way around that boy is truly highly blessed. He made out really good. And they're not even stopping. People are still fighting for him. If they may get him out. They may get him out. I have no more confidence that my husband will get out of his wrongful conviction before he served the whole wrongful conviction. I have no more confidence in that. I lost confidence in this alleged justice system that day. Right? And then after not getting no alleviation, not even a sentence. He's not even sentenced. He's far sentenced past what he should have gotten per law. So not even the sentence reduction, not even making his sentence what it should be, even though you've wrongfully convicted him, sentence him correctly against what you would have if he actually committed the crime. Not even that. So I, long time ago, lost confidence in this alleged justice system. But it took me a long time to lose confidence that my community would come in and help me fight. I really thought y'all was going to help me. I really thought once I brought his story to y'all, y'all would support my stuff. Y'all would support the videos, the petition, the something. I've done everything. I've done all the work. All I need is support in it. Y'all let me down. I got a couple of people, but a couple of people get you. Like, I'm sitting in front of a river, a lake right there, and there's little ripples. It's not going to cause anything. It just causes little ripples, right? So I've had little ripples. But with the community, we could bust through that. So until I get community, wrongful conviction is intact. And that's why now we're just counting down to his release date. It is what it is. He had to give more than half of his life to prison. And that's just what it is. An innocent man. But he's not the first. And he won't be the last, because y'all have a chance right now with this case to actually, along with the case, you have a chance to reform the system. But your window is going to close because you're only concerned with this one case. You're not concerned with the system, allegedly, that the case is nested within. It was never the case. It was always the system. That same system affected us. That same system affects him, affects many other, affected Kevin Strickland, affected Valentino Dixon, affected Jimmy Dennis, that spent years on D-Row before exonerated, affected Marcellus Williams, who was actually deleted after they had newly discovered evidence, affected Troy Davis, who was unalived, even though there was reasonable doubt in his case, affected Obie Anthony after serving 17 years before freed, innocent man, 17 years before freed, affected the Central Park 5, which is now the exonerated 5, affected Richard Taylor, who was wrongfully accused but rightfully acquitted after